কলকাতার বাবুরা গাড়ি চড়ে 3 ঘন্টা 4 ঘন্টার মধ্যে শান্তিনিকেতন এসে যাচ্ছে। এসে তারা কি এক্সপেক্ট করেন? সেই কুমোরপাড়ার গরুর গাড়ি, বোঝাই করা কলসিয়ারি, দিস আর ডাবল স্ট্যান্ডার্ড। So if you expect change, which is inevitable in human life, then Santiniketan cannot be, aloof, cannot be immune from that changes. See change all over the world, except Santiniketan. How is it possible? Because we are also part of the global humanity. The first one is that Tagore always believed that humanism cannot be divided, either in terms of class or caste or religion or even region. So Tagore was probably one of those few thinkers who always insisted on humanity being one. The idea which propelled him to found Visva Bharati away from Calcutta is simply because of this. He wanted to see India, and you will be surprised to know that what our Honorable Prime Minister, who happens to be our Acharya as well, he requested his colleagues, the MP colleagues, to adopt 5 villages. When? In 2015. And Tagore started this process in 1921.
Thank you for speaking to Indian Express, sir. What do you feel about the UNESCO World Heritage Site?
This is something which we have been expecting for quite some time, because this is a recognition of Tagore's idea of humanity and Tagore's idea of education. And Tagore began with these ideas when he founded Pathabhavan in 1901. Pathabhavan represented a different kind of education, where students or the learners are placed in a context of nature. And then later on, Tagore, magnified his experiment by developing what is called Visva Bharati in 1921. And in my perception, there are 2 important ideas which are critical, and I think with the recognition of UNESCO, we have been able to place it at the global level. The first one is that Tagore always believed that humanism cannot be divided, either in terms of class or caste or religion or even region. So Tagore was probably one of those few thinkers who always insisted on humanity being one. So that's one part of his philosophy, and that was something which he derived from Upanishad. And secondly is that how will you develop humanity being one? By intermixing. So he devised many mechanisms, and mechanism like Mela, fair, and Tagore said that if there is a fair in the locality, people come spontaneously. But if you hold a meeting, then people may not come spontaneously. You have to request them to come. So Mela is an instrument of bringing people spontaneously. So Tagore said, it's an example which Tagore cited in his text of 1904. So Tagore held Mela. Tagore held congregation for prayer. You must have seen today, Wednesday, is a regular prayer, and it has been going on since 1893. The reason being that in the place where we offer prayer, people from different walks of life, people from different strata of society, they come and intermix. So Tagore said only by intermixing you can erase the division among human beings. So I think these 2 philosophical ideas probably took Tagore ahead, and these are the ideas on which Visva Bharati rested. And now, with the recognition of UNESCO, I strongly believe these 2 ideas got magnified at the global level. And to me, there are 3 important pillars in the articulation of this idea. The first is, of course, 1901, when Pathabhavan, the alternative school system, was founded, and then 1913, when Tagore was recognized individually as a poet par excellence. He got Nobel Prize. And then in 1951, when Visva Bharati became the first central university with the level that an institution of national importance. And in the formation of this institute of national importance, we should not forget the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi, because when Tagore was at the fag end of his life, he wrote a letter on the 2nd of February 1940 that I'm worried whether after my departure from this world, whether Visva Bharati would exist or not, because this is my life's treasure. And Gandhi assured him that don't worry, I'll try my best to protect this because it is an international institution. So what we recognize in 2023, Gandhi already mentioned about it in 1940. So almost 83 years ago. So that way, I think 1951 is also a landmark development because it became the Central University, and for running this university, central government took the responsibility, of course with request from Mahatma Gandhi and with the personal initiative of our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So I think these three pillars, to me, constitute the foundational ideas of recognition on the 17th of September 2023. 1913, Tagore was recognized as an individual. In 2023, Visva Bharati, Tagore's brainchild, Tagore's roadmap, was recognized globally by the UNESCO by putting this Global Heritage University tag. So I think if you look at the history, then you will find that it is not the work of one individual or a group of individuals, many individuals who started working for Visva Bharati since the beginning of the 20th century. So I think I do not think that the outcome of 17th September is based on the contribution of one individual or one administration. I find many before me who contributed to the development of Visva Bharati as a global institution. Because it's a rare achievement, rare recognition. Because Visva Bharati is the only university in the world which has been given this tag when it is a functional university. Because think of Nalanda, it's a heritage because it's a dead institution. Think of Taj Mahal, think of Takshila, think of any other institution or any other building or any other temple, Konark temple. Prayer is not offered. So I think that way Visva Bharati is a pioneer, because Visva Bharati, being a living university, being a functional university, is recognized as an institution of global heritage.
But my next question to you would be the inclusive nature of Santiniketan Visva Bharati, as you pointed out. How do you think you will carry it forward now with the UNESCO tag, or people of Santiniketan should carry it forward with the UNESCO tag?
I think this question doesn't appear to be pertinent at this stage, simply because if you look at Visva Bharati or Santiniketan in historical perspective, the idea of inclusivity is ingrained in Visva Bharati or Santiniketan. I think we should not blur the distinction between Santiniketan and Visva Bharati. Visva Bharati is the institution and Santiniketan is the location. But they are interchangeably used simply because you cannot think of Santiniketan without Visva Bharati and vice versa. So I think the inclusivity is the idea which Tagore put forward as early as 1901, as I said. Because think of Tagore. He was born and raised in Kolkata, a metropolitan city of British India. And from there he shifted to a village. Think of Birbhum at that point of time. It took several days to come to Birbhum from Kolkata by bullock cart. Now because of good connectivity, good roads, you can come here just in 3 or 4 hours time. But think of those days. So the idea that Tagore wanted to see the village. And I find Tagore hinted at this idea in his novel Gora. Because so long as Gora was in Calcutta, he didn't know what was India like. But the moment he came out of Calcutta and witnessed the village life, then he saw that's the India. And there people are divided in terms of caste, in terms of religion, in terms of wealth. And Gora really actually confronted real India. So I think Tagore also probably wanted to articulate his approach, that so long as you don't know what India is like, you will not be an Indian. So, I think the idea which propelled him to found Visva Bharati away from Calcutta is simply because of this. He wanted to see the India, and you will be surprised to know that what our Honorable Prime Minister, who happens to be our Acharya as well, the Chancellor, who is also the Chancellor of this university, he requested his colleagues, the MP colleagues, to adopt 5 villages. When? In 2015. And Tagore started this process in 1921. When Visva Bharati came into being, he started with 5 villages as adopted villages. And the number has increased to 50 when before I joined. Now it is 60 villages. Now you might ask the question, why do we adopt the villages? We adopt the villages, again, to respond to your question, to articulate inclusivity. First of all, the university people should be integrated with them to get an idea how Indians live in the villages, because as you know, Gandhi also said India lived in villages. So, and secondly, Tagore always believed that suppose if you give money to a beggar, he will spend the money in a week or 10 days or 15 days time, and then he will become beggar again. But if you give somebody skill, then he will sell that skill to earn his livelihood. So what Tagore did, he tried to develop the villagers by imparting them skill by experts who were associated with Visva Bharati. Even today, we have a department called Rural Extension Center, and there are teachers who are specifically appointed for this, who go to the village and suppose teach carpentry, who go to the villages, teach how to manage the iron work. They go to the villages how to do things in clay, potters, right? How to weave, saris and other textiles. So I think these villages are not adopted for the sake of adoption, but these villages are adopted to transmit the skill which our teachers have to the villagers, so that they continue to survive by selling their skill. And that's what is happening now.
Influx of tourism will be way higher than it already is here, right? Yeah. People from across the world would want to visit this place. And how do you perceive, Santiniketan changing for that? And this is, of course, asking about Santiniketan, Visva Bharati and Santiniketan, as you said.
No, first of all, I cannot give you a blueprint at this point of time because it happened just 3-4 days ago. But we have some ideas, and that even we didn't have TAG, but we used to get at least 100,000 people every week as tourists, and we have been managing
and
that.
People from abroad too?
Yeah, people from abroad too. So I think we have been managing this, with the infrastructure we have. So I think we have a blueprint, but now we'll have to think in terms of implementing that blueprint as efficiently as we can, because we don't want the tourists or those who come to visit Santiniketan to see the alternative system of education, alternative system of human life, alternative conceptualization of humanity. I think we have to devise different kinds of plans, and also given the fact that this property belongs to the world, belongs to humanity, I think we have greater responsibility to take care of this property, the ashram area. So we'll sit together and we'll certainly devise an efficient plan so that we can manage tourists in a better way. But we have a blueprint there, which have been following for quite some time. So I think probably we'll have to strengthen the blueprint which we have already.
And also probably scale it up a lot. Maybe.
Probably, yeah. But as I said, I cannot give you an exact answer now because it happened only 4 days ago. So
I keep coming to Santiniketan every few years, and of course I have very little knowledge. But যখনই আসি তখনই ভাবি শান্তিনিকেতন আর আগের মতন রইলো না, people keep talking about that. But as in it apparently is commercialized a lot and it's changed a lot. It's so what do you have to say about that?
You see, I think this sort of statement to me is without substance. Why am I saying this? Again, since you asked the question in Bengali, I just would like to quote a particular 2 lines of a poem written by Tagore. that কলকাতার ভদ্রলোকরা তারা আগে আসতেন শান্তিনিকেতনে ট্রেনে করে, ট্রেনেও সময় লাগতো, বা গরু গাড়ি যেটা বলছিলাম, বা রাস্তা সেরকম ভালো ছিল না, ইট টুক আওয়ার্স টু গ্যাদার, বাট থ্যাঙ্কস টু গুড রোড কলকাতার বাবুরা গাড়ি চড়ে 3 ঘন্টা 4 ঘন্টার মধ্যে শান্তিনিকেতন এসে যাচ্ছে। এসে তারা কি এক্সপেক্ট করেন, সেই কুমোরপাড়ার গরুর গাড়ি, বোঝাই করা কলসিয়ারি, সঙ্গে যে যায় বংশীবদন, সাথে যে যায় ভাগ্নে মদন। তার মানে হচ্ছে ওয়ান্স ইউ কাম আউট অফ ক্যালকাটা অ্যাজ এ মেট্রোপলিটন সিটি, দ্য মোমেন্ট ইউ রিচ শান্তিনিকেতন, you conceive or perceive of Santiniketan as a pristine area, and you imply that Santiniketan will remain stagnant. It will not change, but Calcutta will change, or travel to Santiniketan will be much easier. So these are double standard. So if you expect change, which is inevitable in human life, then Santiniketan cannot be aloof, cannot be immune from that changes. Santiniketan at one point of time was famous for mud houses. But over a period of time, you will see, we maintain mud houses just as a showpiece, but most of the houses are concrete houses. So I think if you expect Santiniketan of 1901 in 2023, I think I have, strong reservation about this kind of argument put forward by people, because you see change all over the world, except Santiniketan. How is it possible? Because we are also part of the global humanity. So change is inevitable. Now, whether change is going in a wrong direction or not, that's something which we'll have to ponder over. But as you know, that in Santiniketan we are very particular about the what is called the structure, which will allow to be built in the campus, and also the ambience. We try to maintain as it was then. But as I said, you cannot avoid change. Change is something which is inevitable to human life. So I think, my brother, my request to you that, if you apply one kind of logic to Calcutta, you apply the same logic to Santiniketan. Santiniketan is not different from global humanity.